Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pets, People, Life, and Longevity. I am Jan Jeremias, and I am here with my canine companion, Tonka, who most of the time is pretty quiet. So we'll see how that goes today. So a little bit about me. I'm a trained scientist who began exploring holistic and alternative healing about 18 years ago. I began my journey with the use of essential oils and began exploring other modalities such as Reiki, gentle massage, and other things for pets and people. I do work with people. I am the co-author of the top-selling essential oil book for pets called Spoil Your Pet, a practical guide to using essential oils in dogs and cats. And today I'm really lucky to have with me my co-author on the book. So that's really exciting. Not often is she on. And so this is, an exciting day for us. So maybe I'll have Dr. Mia Frezzo, introduce herself because we know each other so well, and she can share with you a little bit about herself.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mia Frezzo. I am so excited to be your guest today. I have been practicing veterinary medicine for a number of years, in fact, a couple of decades. And Jan and I met a number of years ago through yoga and essential oils. And she's been such a blessing in my life for my human family and all of my pets, and of course, my practice and all of the clients and pets that I serve there. Together, we wrote a wonderful book that we're very proud of called Spoil Your Pet. Now, I have been working with Jan for quite a long time. We have a lot of combined experience and passion for these essential oils, and we are so happy to share with you their many, many benefits. I am a member of a veterinary advisory board for one of the top-selling essential oil companies, and that is quite an honor to serve in their education committee and help to provide tremendous resources and support and education to our pet owners.
I love that because I think that sharing that knowledge with people alleviates some of the maybe hesitation around using essential oils, and also this feeling that people have to have a degree in aromatherapy to be able to use essential oils or for themselves and for their pets. So today we wanted to get on and chat a little bit about holidays and the upcoming holidays. No matter what your background is, Hanukkah, Christmas, all the holidays are coming in the next few weeks. And our pets are affected by those holidays because they live with us and they're around us. So maybe, Mia, you can speak to some of this and some of what your clients actually talk to you about.
Jan, you're right. Our pets feel our emotions. And I think that's something for us to keep in mind. When we are stressed or overwhelmed, they know it. Our pets are definitely in tune with our emotions, whether we try to hide them or try to express them. They really know what's going on. And that can be a great comfort to us. It can also be quite difficult at this time of the year. So when I say it's a comfort, it's wonderful when our pets know that we might be sad or upset. They come over and they ask for a little bit of extra attention and they snuggle with us. But at other times, they can show us, I'm really stressed too. I may not eat as well. I may not be as playful as I normally am. I may be lying around a bit more. So these may be signs that our pets are stressed. They can also show lots of vocalization or whining, crying, kind of neediness. So it's important for us, as busy as we might be during this time of the year, to be really sensitive and aware that our pets may be trying to communicate to us that they may be a little uncomfortable this time of the year. And it's impossible to avoid the stress, right? It's easy for us to say, the holidays bring a lot of stress. We try to prepare for it. Nevertheless, it's a stressful time of the year. It's a really busy time of the year, right?
Yes, it is. And then the other thing I think that I know having a dog that, with a crowd, having people over, and, depending on if you're traveling for the holidays and whether you take your pets with you or not. And then you have environmental changes or boarding changes, or pet sitter changes. So there's such a kind of smorgasbord or buffet of issues that can happen with your
Our
pet.
pets, yes, our pets like routine, as many of us do. We like routine and they count on a routine. So when that routine is disrupted, they feel it. And unfortunately, that has to happen sometimes. We do travel. We do have to leave them behind sometimes when we might travel. Schedules change, but we'll try. I would suggest that we try to keep things as normal and routine as possible. So if you are traveling and you are taking your pet with you, bring your pet's dog bed, your cat's bed, bring toys, bring the same bowls, blankets, whatever it is that they are used to at home. Many of our pets are crated as well. So if your pet, your dog particularly, is used to being in a crate and he or she calls that his personal little space and home, that's great. Bring it with you if you can. We want to create the same type of environment, if we can, away from home and as home. Bring your pets food. Food changes just exacerbate the physical stress, right? Our pets don't handle dietary changes really well in most cases. And so it would be good for us to bring their food, their snacks, keep everything as routine and uniform as possible. Now, if you happen to need to board your pet, there are a number of locations that will accept your pet's food, your pet's bedding and toys and things to also create that home environment while you're away. Additionally, some have cameras, which could be really nice. It could be comforting to be able to watch your pet, but don't get consumed by it, because I think that can add another level of stress. That now you're looking at the camera and the phone all the time, worrying about your pet. And honestly, your pet's probably doing just fine. And you would do fine really as well if you just let go and enjoy the moment without adding more stress and responsibility or another task to your plate.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Now, what can people do if their pet is feeling like, so some of the things you suggest to clients whose pets are suffering from anxiety or stress? Because let me tell you, most of the time, unless you have a brand new pet, you pretty much start to learn your pet's behavior. So if your pet was stressed or anxious last year, they're probably going to be, unless there's been some monumental changes, they're probably going to be stressed and anxious this year.
True. I would suggest a number of things. If you are leaving your pet at home, for example, when you are out for extended periods of time, you can leave on the radio or the TV. You may know what stations your pet likes. My dogs listen to classical music when I'm out. Many of us have a radio, or we have an Alexa that we can turn on while we're away. The TV is also great with something nice and calming or soothing. I know there are some nature channels that cats like to watch. They can watch the birds and they can watch the waterfalls and the nature scenes, and that's really soothing and comforting for a number of cats. And I find that really interesting. I've actually had a client in the past whose cat used to sit right on the coffee table and watch the TV. So they knew that that cat really enjoyed that program because she parked herself right on the coffee table with prime viewing. It was great.
That is adorable. And I always like the idea of soothing music. And one of the things that obviously we have quite a lot of experience with through the years are essential oils that are calming and things like that. So maybe you could speak to a little bit about, essential oils, and maybe we'll start with some of the more general just parameters or guidelines to using essential oils around your pets.
Yes, I'm definitely in favor of essential oils. Now, there are a number of essential oil companies, and they're not all the same. So we have to be very careful that we are using only very high quality essential oils for our pets. That's going to make a huge difference in the success of their experience and in how well they may tolerate the oils. So having a lot of experience, we'll give you our information later as to how you can reach us for even greater detail. There are a number of essential oils that can be used topically, meaning applying them right to your pet, or putting a drop or so on bedding or blankets that they like to sleep near, or via diffusion. So via diffusion means that you have a little machine in your home that will disperse the oil into the air. And that essential oil is being breathed and absorbed in a very passive but truly effective way. So there are a number of oils that can be used for calming and for soothing purposes. Many of us are familiar with oils like lavender, but there are other combinations of oils, which we call blends, that can be nice and soothing. And those can be used, like I said, either topically or via diffusion in combination. So another one that's beautiful is frankincense. It's a very universal oil. Universal meaning it affects the entire body. So frankincense has been shown to be calming to the nervous system. It is also very supportive of normal cellular function and overall health. So frankincense is beautiful, especially this time of the year. There's a lot of biblical connection with frankincense. So it is a very precious oil for many reasons this time of the year. But as I mentioned, combinations, there are oils that are made into blends, but you could make combinations at home as well. So with a diffuser, you could combine, let's say, frankincense and lavender and some other beautiful oils. Copaiba is wonderful to create a really nice and soothing environment for your pet.
Yeah, and I think again, just to reiterate, safety is really key, and so really good quality essential oils is it's imperative if you want to keep your pets as safe as possible. It's a wonderful modality, but you just have to, make sure you're taking that extra step. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about, I know that there are some nutritional supplements which are really helpful for stress and anxiety. I'm thinking of probiotics and omegas and things like that. So maybe you can speak to that a little bit.
Probiotics are often thought of as supporting the digestive system, and they do. By giving our bodies the digestive bacteria that we need, and we meaning all of us, ourselves, our pets, the digestive bacteria helps to support the gut, which in turn houses most of the immune system. So at least 70 to 80% of our immune system lies in our gut. So having a nice, healthy gut and digestive system supports our immune system, which helps to keep us nice and strong and healthy. But additionally, probiotics have been proven to reduce cortisol, which reduces stress. So cortisol is a stress hormone. So when we are stressed or anxious or upset in that fight or flight mode, our body releases cortisol. And that's a good thing in a short burst. Let's say we've got someone in front of you driving, slams on the brakes. Well, you need that cortisol to help you react and to help you to maintain your composure, make a good decision, slam on your own brakes, and avoid an accident. But chronic cortisol release over time from chronic stimulation, stress, and anxiety is not good for our bodies. And that's the same for our pets. So by taking a probiotic or giving your pet a really potent, varied, viable probiotic, we can help to reduce cortisol and support their stress from another direction.
Yeah, and I obviously I've suggested that to so many people through the years, and you really want to give a supplement that is a probiotic supplement, correct? Because a lot of foods nowadays, pet foods, actually contain probiotics.
Yes, I'm not sure that the pet foods that contain probiotics really give our pets enough organisms, nor can they remain as viable as the ones that are really formulated for daily addition to the food. So the ones that are more reliable and more potent will have a number of different bacterial organisms. They also recommend many times to be kept in the refrigerator. They have an expiration date, and they have a bit more substantial information on the packaging. I'm not knocking the pet foods. There may be some small benefit, but I think that an additional supplement is really beneficial in this area to be sure that we're getting enough of these probiotics, prebiotics in a viable form. So they have to be alive and living in order to work. Plus, they should be tested for our pets so that we know that they really are effective. There are a number of products out there for people and for pets that may not be as utilizable, as supportive to our bodies if we don't absorb them. So just like with many other supplements, if we take a supplement but our body doesn't absorb it, we don't really get any benefit. So we have to be sure that we're giving a probiotic that really makes it into the intestinal system alive to really survive and fortify our guts. If all of these organisms are dead before we consume them or before we give them to our pets, or if they all die off in the stomach because of the hydrochloric acid, then we haven't gotten a benefit. Then we're falsely supporting our body. We're getting this false sense of security that we're giving something to our pets or taking something ourselves. We're not getting the benefit. So the quality of the product that you choose is really important.
Mm. And I mean, I'm one of those people who think that every being should probably take probiotics, whether that be for immune system, and with our current climate in the world of stress levels, it would probably be beneficial for everyone to take a good probiotic if it would alter their cortisol levels, their stress levels at all. But the other one I think we hear a lot of are omega fish oils.
Yes.
And their benefit for multiple reasons, including stress or the nervous system.
That's true. So omegas are imperative for our health, for our brain health, for our joints, our heart, our cardiovascular systems. And we all benefit from additional omegas. We can't get enough omegas in the right ratios from our foods. So we really do need to supplement an omega or a fish oil supplement. There are some products that are not sourced from fish. They can be a vegetarian or a vegan formula. Most of the pet formulas are fish-based, and they really are important. Even from a young age, we want to support our pets' brains, their neurologic development, their joints, their heart, their cardiovascular system. And as they get older, that becomes even more important. So supporting their brains and giving them a really good, strong nervous system essentially is supportive for the entire body and reduces this level of stress that they succumb to at this time of the year as well.
And everything we're saying for pets applies to you. So you can also go out and get your omegas and go out and get your probiotics and maybe pick up some essential oils and start. And so that's really where I wanted to go next, is that really shouldn't people be starting fairly soon to get ready for this, as opposed to like all of a sudden, Christmas Eve or right before a party or a gathering, like an hour before, you're like, oh, well, what about, your pet's name? What about Maxie, who hates when people come over?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We need to prepare now and get our pets into a good routine. One thing that our pets are really good at is anticipating our actions and linking our actions with subsequent actions. So my pets know if I grab my keys, I'm heading out the door. And in the summertime, if I just put on my shoes, they're right near me, ready to go. So if we were to apply essential oils or turn the diffuser on only when we were about to leave or only right before people come over, pets know that. So it's better for them to be exposed to these essential oils on a daily basis, perhaps regularly or even randomly. If you're home more on the weekend, use them more on the weekend. If you're home during the day working, just incorporate these oils into your daily routine so that there isn't a big difference for them when someone does come over or when you do leave for an outing or an extended stay. The less disruption for them, the better. So they can really link, oh, when mommy puts this on me, she's leaving. Or when mommy puts this on me, somebody's going to come over, there's going to be a big party. And that can actually exacerbate or add to their level of stress and worry. So that's counteracting our entire goal. So start now, start early, and incorporate these oils into your household well before there's any disruptive or stimulating event.
Love that. One of the things that I think just because I know from Tonka that I have a lot of experience with this one, is outdoor activity and exercise is key. before an event. He's active anyway, and it helps him get rid of some of that nervous energy when he's gone. Like I'll walk him, and then for him, he's a runner. Like if I let him run around for a good lengthy period of time, and sometimes that's hard depending on weather, but I think that no matter what you do, I think that you should do all those things too.
Yes, many of us know the phrase, a tired dog is a good dog.
Right.
So they need to be physically tired. That's going to help them to behave better or to accept better some disruption. If you're away for a while, let's say when we have a family event, we might be out of the house for 4 to 6 hours. If we're out of the house for a while, knowing that my dogs are nice and tired and sleeping most of the time that we're gone is really reassuring. I've done my part to give them some exercise, some physical stimulation, some mental stimulation, and then I can go out and enjoy myself without worrying about them. So before people come over, before you leave, you may want to take them for a nice long walk or run or play Frisbee or do whatever you need to do to tire them out and help them to behave a little bit better. If they are full of energy and people start coming to your door, they're more likely to be reactive, jump, bark, run around, just act crazy because they're so excited and or nervous or both. And it's a less than pleasant experience for everybody. And tensions are high, and we start off the party a little bit less jovial than we'd like.
It might be putting your pets in another room, depending on your pet, might be helpful.
That is helpful. For some pets, it's better for them to be removed from the situation. For other pets, they're really comfortable in their crate. If that's their little home, then they might be better in there. And again, you can use the essential oils in that separate room with the diffuser or on the bedding, the blanket, the toys, or in the crate, just to give them an added support for their time to relax and just let the party pass by.
It's so interesting how absolutely sensitive they are. Now, I guess this isn't really how to manage the holidays, but I guess one of my things is, do you buy the dogs gifts?
I don't. I don't really have to buy my dogs gifts because they get spoiled by everybody else.
Okay.
So, yes. Other family members, especially my in-laws and our pet sitter and family friends, tend to buy the pets gifts. So I really don't. They get things from me randomly throughout the year. But this time of the year, everybody else gets a turn and they get a little overwhelmed. So sometimes I have to put some toys away and rotate them, bring out the new ones little by little, because having 10 or 15 new toys can be a lot. So many of us experience this with our kids too.
I was going to say, sounds like kids.
Yes. We have to take some away, give it a little bit of a break, and then in a week or two, it's brand new again, and it's wonderful. So you might want to consider rotating to keep them nice and stimulated and happy and less overwhelmed.
I remember when I had Casey, I got a friend, I don't know if I got it or a friend of mine got it. It was like the hugest bone I'd ever seen. And so Hanukkah being 8 nights, every day I took it away and every day I gave it to her again. And I was like, this is the best gift because it'll last for so long. But it is and they are such an important part of our lives that, it's kind of crucial that I think that we keep them in our consideration when we're thinking about our plans and what we're going to do, and making it as easeful for them as it can be. Because if they're, like you said, if they're busy, or if they're tired, or if you at least know they're well taken care of, then, I think that I have a great pet sitter who, Mia knows, and I've talked about, which is such a huge comfort for me when I do travel, because I know he is really well cared for, and I don't have to worry about what's going on and who he's with or what's happening. And I think that that's such a huge, and I send him with essential oils. I send him, I send a Tonka with essential oils when I take him to the pet sitter, and she doesn't have a diffuser, but he has, his specific roll-on that I use for him. And just even if my attitude is it can't hurt, and it makes me feel better, at least, that I've sent it with him, just like I send all the rest of his supplements and, any medications he might be on, then Um, I know he has everything he needs. Now, are there circumstances where you actually need to medicate pets during situations like this?
There are a handful of pets that in my practice that do need some medication. Their level of anxiety and stress is so high that they do need some medication. I don't like to use medication. It's kind of a last resort. Once we've tried everything else, we've tried training, we tire them out, we've tried, let's say, the background noise of the TV and the radio and all these things that support them, the essential oils, of course. If none of these things is really enough, then we may need to add in some medication. But that's not my initial goal. And that's another reason it's really helpful to kind of practice and prepare our pets ahead of time before an event so that we're really ready. Because scrambling right before, let's say, the day of the party, the day before the party is not great. The day before you're leaving for vacation is not an ideal time to seek medication. Plus, if the pet needs medication, I think we need to try it out. A number of these calming medications have a wide dosage range. So your pet may need a little bit more, or a lot to really get through certain stressful situations. And we've got experience with this with some of our pets with, let's say, thunderstorms or fireworks. These are other situations where some pets need additional support, a lot of support beyond some of the routine, more natural things that Jan and I have talked about. It's nice to try that medication. Let's see how the pet reacts. You know what to expect, and you know if, okay, that may not be enough. So in a couple more days, we'll try a little bit higher dose and work with your veterinarian so that you can tailor that dose so that it's just enough. We don't want the pet to be too sleepy, just relaxed. Now, earlier we had talked a little bit about essential oils. We can put the oils right on the pet. But there are some things that the pets can wear, which I neglected to mention. So there are little pendants or charms that can go on their collar, or there are some oils that can be absorbed right into a nylon collar, and your pet can wear those oils all the time, kind of like a little personal diffuser around their neck. Some pets wear a bandana or a shirt, and you can even put essential oils on their clothing so that they've got that continual release and support.
Yeah, I picked up a collar with actually has a little square of absorbent material on it where the essential oils actually go. And I mean, I just actually took it off and put a more holiday collar on him, but he wears that one a lot, just in general, because that is his tendency. And so I'll put oils on that all the time and might as well keep him as calm as possible. One of the things we haven't chatted about at all, but I feel is kind of just, imperative on the holidays when we start to talk about food and things like that. I mean, I think we all try to navigate food during, a lot of people try to navigate food during the holidays, as far as, we're exposed to a lot of food with different gatherings, and we might eat foods that we don't necessarily eat all the time. And yes, it is a holiday and we like to celebrate, but I think our pets are the same way. I think when my parents used to visit, my mother was the one who always felt like Tonka needed to get table food, even though I said he really doesn't need table food, but it was hard. But yeah, so that can be a real, that can be something for people to think about too.
Having lots of food around is a real temptation. It's a temptation for our pets to resist the impulse to steal food, because many times in our homes, there's food everywhere. There's food on multiple tables and the counter. And so it can be hard for our pets, if they don't have a really good level of self-control, to not steal food and eat things that might be different from their regular diet or too rich for them. Plus, a lot of guests have a tendency to want to feed the dog. We love to feed our pets. We love to feed our pets, but feeding our pets can be dangerous. I always say that when you all go home, I'm left with dogs that may have upset tummies.
Mhm.
So I don't really want to deal with the diarrhea and the vomiting. So please do not feed my dogs. They're not used to table food. They're not used to all these rich foods. And many of our holiday foods are rich. They're different from what we normally eat. And so that's even more difficult for our pets' digestive systems to process. Table food is not necessarily all bad, but we don't want to upset our pets' tummies. We don't want them to beg or steal, and it can be a little bit too much for them. I think that we could have a separate conversation about table food, because food that itself is not necessarily bad, but in this context of an event and of begging and of potentially upsetting tummies, along with all of the stress, is not a great combination. It really sets them up for some disaster over the days following the holidays.
No, I agree. I think that it is hard. It's very hard sometimes when you look at those eyes and they're looking at you and you're like, sorry, but long run, it makes such a difference, because they're not going to be very happy either when they get sick. They get uncomfortable. If they have an accident or if they get sick in the house, then usually, I mean, I know every animal that I've ever had always looks at you like with this feeling, like this look of like, oh my gosh, I didn't mean it. Because they know that they're not supposed to, that they don't get sick in the house or they don't go to the bathroom in the house. And then all of a sudden that has happened, and it creates, even more, I think, negative emotions for them than is necessary. And I think they can have a good time without, just like us, they can have a good time without that.
Absolutely.
And
yes.
What I've always found very helpful is I'm a huge, I use Kongs a lot. And usually I stuff them with food because I don't want to, I'm not feeding them junk. It's actually dog food that's stuffed in the Kong. And I'll freeze them sometimes so it keeps him busy or longer. And I find that if he's busy eating something that he doesn't know the difference, that it's not table food really. And so keeping him busy with that decreases the likelihood of him coming and begging for regular food, because he can go, with a frozen Kong, he can go be busy for an hour, trying to get that food out. So I think something like that, where you're actually keeping your dog as busy as possible, is, but we spent a lot of time talking a little bit about cats, but I guess one of my big hints for cats is just make sure that the litter box is readily accessible and not in a place that's where a lot of people are going, because, depending on your cat, they might not want to go to bathroom in public with a lot of people around, and you don't want litter box avoidance. None of us want that. And then other things, like they are affected by lots of people. A lot of times cats will just hide, I find. Partly because of size and because they're really great at getting into really small, confined little spaces where they feel safe. But, cats are, as always, going to be slightly different than dogs when it comes to stress and what they feel comfortable around.
I would suggest you just be sure that if your cat is confined to a specific room, make sure that there is a litter box and some water there accessible to the cat. If your cat's loose and you don't really know where it is, be careful with the door. As the door is opening and closing, please be careful that your cat doesn't get frightened and run out the door. Many of us have two doors, which is helpful. So I have a main front door and then a porch area, so I can close one door to the house before we go into the porch, and then we have the second door. So there's that little added security of a vestibule or a little foyer, a little porch to protect our pets a little bit. Hopefully your cat is not one of those cats that'll hang out near the door or try to escape, but the stress can make our pets do lots of crazy things. So if you're not sure how your cat may react, I would suggest well before the party, when it's nice and relaxed at home, yet put your cat in a safe place so you know where that cat is. Then you may need to put a sign on the door that says, keep this door closed, cat inside, whatever you think you need to do for your family and friends to protect that cat so no one opens that door. And you know that your cat is nice and safe in there with all of his or her basic needs.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing applies, I think, for dogs. I mean, if you have a dog which, when it gets frightened or when the door opens, has the possibility of escaping, so there's, the basic safety things that you have to think about, like, is your dog microchipped, and do they wear tags, or make sure they're wearing a collar, and all those things, just in case somebody, you're in the other room and somebody happens to open the door and the dog barges out or something. You don't want your dog getting out where they shouldn't be getting out, and having the risk of, running away or getting so scared that it goes out and hides and things like that. And having just the basic identifiers on that collar is really a great idea. I actually dog sat this weekend for 3 dogs, and I have to say that she didn't have collars on any of them. That, like, she didn't keep them with collars on. I don't think Tonka feels funny if he's not wearing a collar. It's almost like he feels like he's undressed. It's really funny. He doesn't like it. But she didn't have collars on any of them. And she had them attached to their leashes so that when they went outside. But I thought to myself, the door didn't close well. I thought, this is like kind of scary to me, that they wouldn't have collars on just in case they got out, especially with me, because they didn't know me. And I thought if they got scared, I didn't want them running away. So I actually, yeah, go ahead. Sorry. No, go ahead, Mia.
No, I'm sorry. I was going to say I am in favor of our pets wearing collars all the time. And I think they should all be microchipped, just because it's a nice safety. It's a backup system. If they do get out, if your cat happens to get out, a breakaway collar is nice and safe. I think your cat should always wear a collar with some identification, because we can't prepare for that potential escape. A breakaway collar is going to be safe if your cat happens to get tangled or hung up somewhere outside. I do hope it never happens, but as a backup, all of our pets should be microchipped.
Yeah, I agree. When I thought at one point I didn't, Tonka wasn't. And then when I thought I might be moving and traveling with him, I thought I really need to microchip him just in case we get separated. But then after thinking about it, I thought, well, he should have been microchipped the whole time. But that was when I finally did it, since he didn't come microchipped. I know that a lot of breeders and rescue groups now, I think, are microchipping before before you get a dog. And so that's always a really nice feature, I think. And that, that they're thinking about the safety of your pet just as much as you are. And maybe lastly, we'll just talk about a little bit about stressful situations, and the fact of most of us have our vets numbers programmed in our phone, but there might be other numbers that you might want to keep in your phone or readily accessible to you, because you're busy, and the last thing you want to do is, in a chaotic situation, have to run and look up a number.
Yes. So having your veterinarians, your primary veterinarian's information handy is really helpful. In your phone, on your fridge, or wherever you keep your phone numbers. An emergency hospital number is very important. So a hospital near you that is open 24 hours a day should also be accessible. And you can program these all into your phone in a number of different ways, so that you just put in hospital or vet and they all come up, however you like to do it to make it easy. And then thirdly, poison control. Animal poison control should be in your phone and on your refrigerator or with your phone list, so that it's nice and easy. If you're traveling, when we travel, we always leave a list of numbers for our pet sitter. So of course we leave our numbers. If we're staying in a hotel or with family, we leave those numbers. But our sitters know these are the veterinary hospitals to call. Here's poison control. Here's all of their records and their information. If you need anything, everything is nice and handy, so that there's no question and there's no problem. There are a number of ways that can be communicated now, of course, via text and email, but having all that information handy for whoever's watching your pet is important. And instructions. Our pet sitter knows if there's any concern about our pets, take them right to the emergency hospital. You don't even have to call me first. Don't try to reach me in a true emergency. Just go right to the hospital. So having that directive gives me peace of mind, and our sitter knows exactly what to do. She doesn't need to even scramble for any additional numbers. She knows where she's going if there's ever an emergency. It's never happened, we thank God, but If there ever is a problem, she's prepared, she's instructed, she's empowered to take care of our pets. Don't worry, just act on it, and you've got our full permission.
I can't agree more. The other thing that I've now started doing when I happen to travel, and that's looking up vets' names before I go to the place I'm going to be at. So if I know I'm traveling to visit someone with Tonka for however long, let's say it's an overnight or a weekend or even a lengthier period of time, I actually find, I mean, a lot of my friends have pets, so I would just ask them. But just in case I'm in a strange location, same thing, is I don't want to have to scrounge for a vet, or you could even ask your current vet for a recommendation. So if you happen to be going somewhere, say, I'm going to be traveling here, do you know a vet in that area? So maybe at least you feel a little more comfortable as far as, oh, well, when you go into that vet, you could say, I got your name from my vet, so-and-so. And I find that really useful. Thankfully, while I've traveled, nothing has ever happened, but I'd rather be safe. Like you leaving the directions and the lists and all that kind of information. I'd rather be safe than sorry. And then all of a sudden something happens and I'm not prepared. And you can't think of every scenario, but you can come close to at least being as prepared as possible. Well, hopefully this is giving you some useful information, and you have now some great tips on how to have the safest and the best holiday. And Mia, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sure my listeners really appreciate it. And happy holidays, everybody.
Oh, thank you so much. Happy holidays. If you'd like to reach me at all for additional information, you can certainly call me at Animal Hospital of Hasbrouck Heights. Our number there is 201-288-7800, or you can email me at Dr. DOCTOR at vetinheights, VETINHEIGHTS.com. It has been such a pleasure to speak with you, Jan, to be a guest today. And I wish everybody very, very happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody.
You've been listening to Pets, People, Life, and Longevity, part of the Exvadio Podcast Network. You can catch every episode at exvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcast app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, and wherever you find podcasts.